Good evening. I'm Kellyanne Conway. 100 years ago...
Is where Trump got all of his opinions about race and women.
100 years ago, courageous warriors helped women secure the right to vote.
And the Republican Party is still very upset about that.
A woman in a leadership role can still seem novel. Not so for President Trump.
You are kidding me. You cannot be trying to convince people that Trump is not a gold medal misogynist. Every other sentence out of his mouth is denigrating women.
For decades, he has elevated women to senior positions in business and in government.
He basically only hires women so he can sexually harass them, which is also the reason why he chose to have daughters.
He confides in and consults us.
Well, I'm sure he confides in and consults with women the same way that Harvey Weinstein did.
Respects our opinions.
It should be noted that opinions is Trump's word for breasts and butt.
And insists that we are on equal footing with the men.
You know, Kellyanne, I wrote an entire book about you. I am very used to hearing you make shit up. But these specific lines about how much Trump respects women actually made my jaw drop. Also, it feels very condescending to tell a woman that she is on equal footing with men. I feel like if I told my female friends that, they'd be like, yeah, we know.
President Trump helped me shatter a barrier in the world of politics by empowering me to manage his campaign to its successful conclusion.
Okay. Kellyanne Conway is a very capable political operative, mostly due to how totally full of shit she is. She is a top-class conservative hack and liar, so I don't want to make it seem like she is completely without merit in the world of politics. But let's be real, Kellyanne, Trump hired you because he needed a woman who could go on television and talk shit about Hillary and not seem sexist. And even then, it was a little dicey at times.
With the help of millions of Americans, our team defied the critics, the naysayers, the conventional wisdom, and we won.
We also won because of help from James Comey, and voter suppression, and the Electoral College, and Russia. But I have been told not to mention those.
For many of us, women's empowerment is not a slogan.
That's true. For Republicans, women's empowerment is not a slogan. It's a threat.
I was raised in a household of all women.
And I couldn't wait to grow up and send a giant fuck you to my whole family of women by not only becoming a Republican, but also by helping elect the most vocally misogynistic Republican in recent history.
I learned that in America, limited means does not make for limited dreams.
This is such unbelievable bullshit. Just because some poor people make it through the cracks to be successful doesn't mean that everybody can do it. It's called survivorship bias, and it ignores the millions of people whose struggle with poverty is too great no matter how hard they work, no matter if they follow all the rules. Every time a Republican says this anybody can live the American dream bullshit, it implies that everybody who isn't successful is lazy and not working as hard as the CEOs and movie stars. Not to mention that the more time that passes, the harder it gets to climb out of poverty, as wages stay flat while expenses continue to go up. But of course, rich people continue to make more money every single year. Isn't that funny? Hi, do you sell guillotines? I have to make them myself.
The promise of America belongs to us all.
If you're white.
These everyday heroes have a champion in President Trump.
You say everyday heroes have a champion in Donald Trump, but I'm willing to bet that everybody you're about to mention has actually been hurt by Trump way more than helped.
The teacher who took extra time to help students adjust.
Case in point, Trump made Betsy DeVos Secretary of Education, a woman who spent the past 3 years dismantling our country's public education system, and it's not like our education system was doing great before. She basically took a department that had a broken ankle and sawed off both of its arms. So thanks, teachers. Here's less money.
The nurse who finished a 12-hour COVID shift.
I wish I could summon the voice of every healthcare worker in America and shout a resounding fuck you to Kellyanne Conway right now. These healthcare workers are getting their asses kicked working 12-hour COVID shifts because of Trump. He ignored the virus, he downplayed it, he refused to prepare for it, he told his supporters not to wear masks and to go out and to party and to keep their businesses open as though this was nothing to worry about. And because of his idiocy and incompetence, we've had massive spikes in infections, hospitals overflowing with COVID patients, almost 200,000 dead and climbing. And your idiot boss couldn't even be bothered to try to get essential workers the protective gear they needed.
Who finished a 12-hour COVID shift and then took a brief break, only to change her mask, gown, and gloves to do it all over again.
Yeah. She changed her mask, gown, and gloves and had to put on a garbage bag because your administration fucked up so hard. Also, maybe people shouldn't have to work 2 back-to-back 12-hour shifts at any job, let alone a hospital during a pandemic. Maybe that's a sign that you fucked up. And all of this is still going on. Your boss has still not done anything to actually stop the spread of infection or to help those that are struggling financially. We can't travel to other countries because we're the world's COVID hotspot. We are 4% of the world's population, but we make up 23% of the world's COVID deaths. America first. Trump is still fucking this up right now. This event that you are currently at had people not socially distanced and not wearing masks. So please spare us all your weak-ass 6th grade book report of encouragement and just put on a fucking mask. Put on a fucking mask!
The single mom with 2 kids, 2 jobs, 2 commutes.
Again, people shouldn't have to have 2 jobs.
Who 10 years after that empty promise finally has health insurance.
Trump is actively trying to take away her health care by suing to repeal the Affordable Care Act.
I have seen firsthand many times the president comforting and encouraging a child who has lost a parent.
First of all, no, you didn't. Second of all, how did the child lose the parent? Was it COVID, aka Trump's fault?
A parent who has lost a child.
How did the parent lose the child? Was it a school shooting that the Trump administration did nothing to stop?
A worker who lost his job.
Why did that guy lose the job? Was it because of COVID, aka Trump's fault again?
An adolescent who lost her way to drugs.
I'm sorry, are you saying that a drug-addicted kid somehow found their way to President Trump, who then gave them words of encouragement? I feel like that would have been on the news.
There always will be people who have far more than us.
Yeah. Thanks to your tax cut that massively increased the wealth of the 1%, there will always now be people with a lot more than us. And now the federal debt is going to be larger than the entire economy by 2021. Thanks.
Our responsibility is to focus on those who have far less than us.
And steal as much of their shit as possible through fake charities and universities, taking their tax dollars and pumping them into our shitty hotels while we play golf.
He told me, "This is so important, Kellyanne. So many lives have been ruined by addiction and will never even know it because people are ashamed to reach out for help and they're not even sure who to turn to in their toughest hour."
He didn't say that. He never said that. He doesn't sound like that. That's not how he talks. And they're not even sure who to turn to in their toughest hour. Are you kidding me? If Trump had the capacity to empathize with other humans, which he does not, he still does not contain the ability or vocabulary to come up with a sentence like that. Show me one other time that he said something like that off the cuff, not dead-faced, reading off of a teleprompter. And they're not even sure who to turn to in their toughest hour. And the hours are so tough. You know, we all turn. Everybody says so.
He picks the toughest fights.
He picks fights. That part is true. And I'll even give you that sometimes he picks tough fights. They're not all tough fights, of course. I don't know if calling out Meryl Streep is the toughest fight. I don't know if a kneeling football player is the toughest fight. But remember this, it doesn't take any strength or courage to pick a fight and then run away and go hide in a bunker. Anybody can pick a fight. I would pick fights all day long if I knew the army was gonna tear gas anybody who tried to fight me back. And essentially that is who Trump is. He's the guy who picks the fight and then runs away and gets his bodyguards to protect him. So, long story short, Kellyanne Conway is a liar and a piece of shit. Nothing new there. Nothing has changed since I wrote that book on her. I don't ever want to hear her talk again. So please vote all of these assholes out of office in November.